When I look back and remember the beginning of Alibaba, everything started simply. We were in a small apartment with 18 people, no money, no technology, and no external support. But what we had was a vision. I believe every great venture begins with a small step, even if it seems insignificant. Many people wait for ideal resources, but the key lies in acting with what you have. It's like planting a seed. What matters is starting, nurturing, and trusting the growth process. At that time, no one believed that a company like ours could succeed. They said, "How can anyone build a digital empire without money or infrastructure?" But I knew that large corporations were slow to innovate, and we had the advantage of agility. Starting small gave me the freedom to experiment, make mistakes, and learn without pressure. This is the power of starting from where you are. You don't need much to take the first steps. Have you ever noticed how bamboo spends years developing its roots before it visibly grows? Businesses are the same. Starting small allows you to strengthen your foundation before expanding. Don't think about building a castle overnight. Think about laying one brick at a time. By the way, if you don't value humble beginnings, how can you expect great achievements to come your way? If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. I recall this phrase every time I reflect on those early challenges. The secret isn't in changing the world first, but in preparing yourself internally. We didn't have stable internet or models to follow, but this forced us to seek creative solutions and hone our skills. Every obstacle became a training ground for the next stage. So, where can you start? That's the real question. Don't focus on what's lacking. Look at the opportunities around you, even if they seem small. Every great mountain was climbed by taking the first step, and it's that seemingly simple step that opens the path to the extraordinary. At the beginning, we didn't have money nor advanced technology. All we had was an idea and the determination to do something meaningful. Many people believe it's impossible to start without resources, but I discovered that it's precisely the lack of resources that can make us more creative. When you have little, every choice must be strategic. If not now, when? If not me, who? This question guided my journey, reminding me that the opportunity to innovate is always within reach if we are willing to think differently. In 1999, the internet was a distant concept for many in China. We had no infrastructure, insufficient talent, and no support. While others saw limitations, I saw possibilities. When you are at a disadvantage, your mind searches for solutions that aren't obvious. Creativity, at its core, is born out of necessity. Isn't it strange how the best ideas often emerge when we face the greatest constraints? Think about this. Scarcity is fertile ground for innovation. I remember a meeting with my small team where we discussed how we could compete with companies that had everything: resources, global teams, and advanced technology. That was when I realized we didn't need to play the same game. We created our own. The secret wasn't to have more, but to do more with what we had. This mindset allowed us to turn the lack of resources into fuel for a unique business model, something no one could easily copy. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This phrase, which I've repeated many times, is a truth I lived. Believe me, the strength that comes from a clear vision and a united team is more powerful than any initial capital. Without large sums of money, we learned to improvise, prioritize, and above all, commit to execution. There was no room for waste. Every action counted. The financial limitation gave us something that an excess of resources never could: absolute focus. When you're limited, you learn to distinguish what's essential from what's secondary. There's no space for distractions. And you know what's most interesting? This kind of constraint creates solutions that stand out because you're forced to think outside the box. That's exactly what defines entrepreneurs who turn hardships into opportunities. When I look back, I realize that Alibaba's greatest advancements came during moments when everyone said something was impossible. People always wait for conditions to be perfect before acting. But do you know what I learned? When everything is ready, the opportunity has already passed. A true entrepreneur steps in before the stage is set. Chaos is where the seeds of success are planted. If you want to make history, you must be willing to work when no one else believes. In 1999, few believed China could become a global digital hub. There was no infrastructure, e-commerce was a distant idea, and the market wasn't prepared. But to me, this was a sign that the moment was perfect. Think about it. When everyone avoids something because it seems difficult or unfeasible, you face less competition and more room to create. Challenges aren't barriers, they're doors waiting to be opened. Once, during a conversation with investors, I heard, "Jack, you're dreaming too big. Who will buy online in China?" I smiled and replied, "If I don't try, we'll never know." The secret is this: the impossible is only impossible until someone makes it real. When we face situations that seem insurmountable, we have the chance to create something no one has ever imagined. These are the moments when true entrepreneurs shine. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. Adaptation was one of our greatest strengths. While others waited for external changes, we focused on preparing ourselves internally. We wanted to be ready when the market finally realized e-commerce's potential. And guess what? That moment came. And we were ahead because we had built the foundation while others hesitated. So where do you see something impossible today? Perhaps it's exactly where your next great idea is hiding. The impossible isn't a barrier, but a call to innovate, think differently, and create solutions the world hasn't seen yet. What are you waiting for to take the first step toward the seemingly unreachable? Building a business is not a sprint, it's a journey of constant growth. When Alibaba started, we were a small team with big dreams, but we knew that success wouldn't come overnight. Small businesses are the foundation of the economy, and their potential for growth is extraordinary. I've always believed that with dedication and vision, even the smallest ideas can create significant changes for entire communities. It's about starting where you are and focusing on making a real impact. In the early days of Alibaba, many doubted our ability to compete with established giants, but what they didn't realize was that small businesses have a unique advantage. They can adapt quickly, innovate freely, and build personal connections with their customers. This agility became our strength, and it's something every entrepreneur should embrace. Being small doesn't mean being powerless. It means having the flexibility to move fast and think differently. One of the key lessons I learned was that small businesses can have an outsized impact when they focus on solving local problems. During Alibaba's growth, we worked closely with small entrepreneurs in China to build a logistics network from scratch. It wasn't about creating something perfect right away. It was about taking one step at a time, learning as we went. Small businesses that understand their local communities are better positioned to create lasting value. Instead of chasing trends or trying to imitate larger companies, we focused on developing our own strengths and creating solutions tailored to our market. This approach not only differentiated us, but also allowed us to grow sustainably, one milestone at a time. So how can a small business evolve into something extraordinary? The answer lies in persistence, innovation, and a commitment to serving others. Growth doesn't happen in a straight line. It's a series of small wins that build momentum. And when you focus on creating real value, those wins can transform into something far greater than you ever imagined. Success takes time. There's no shortcut to meaningful achievements. When people look at Alibaba today, they see a global company, but what they don't often see is the nearly 2 decades of hard work, mistakes, and learning that it took to get here. I always tell entrepreneurs that the most important ingredient for success is persistence. It's easy to start something, but staying consistent, especially during tough times, is what makes the difference. I often share the story of how we struggled in the early years. There were days when it felt like we were making no progress, and others when everything seemed to go wrong. But I reminded myself and my team that every great accomplishment takes time. Think of a tree. It doesn't grow overnight. It takes years of nurturing, sunlight, and rain to reach its full potential. The same is true for any business. One of the most valuable lessons I've learned is that challenges are part of the process. Without them, there's no growth. In fact, I believe the tough days are the most important. They teach you resilience, force you to adapt, and prepare you for bigger opportunities. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This dream kept us moving forward, even when the path seemed uncertain. Patience is a virtue that many entrepreneurs overlook. Everyone wants quick results, but real success comes to those who are willing to put in the effort and wait for the right moment. Alibaba didn't become successful by rushing. It grew steadily because we focused on long-term goals instead of short-term gains. This mindset allowed us to build something sustainable and impactful. What are you willing to invest time and effort into? The truth is, anything worthwhile takes time to grow. Whether it's a business, a skill, or a relationship, patience and persistence are your greatest allies. The question isn't whether success is possible, it's whether you're willing to stay the course long enough to see it through. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that the best way to create global impact is to start locally. When Alibaba began, our goal wasn't to conquer the world. It was to solve specific problems faced by small businesses in China. We saw that local entrepreneurs struggled with logistics, payments, and market access, so we focused on building solutions for them. By addressing these challenges, we laid the foundation for something much bigger. During those early days, many people doubted our approach. They thought we should aim for a broader audience or focus on larger markets. But I've always believed that true success starts with understanding the needs of your immediate community. By solving local problems, you create value that resonates deeply with the people you serve. This value becomes the cornerstone for larger opportunities. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This mindset was crucial when building Alibaba's logistics system. Instead of waiting for external solutions, we took matters into our own hands. We partnered with small businesses, created networks, and learned through trial and error. Each step brought us closer to a system that worked not just for us, but for millions of others. Focusing on local problems also taught us the importance of empathy. When you understand the struggles of those around you, you're better equipped to create meaningful solutions. This approach doesn't just build businesses, it builds trust, loyalty, and long-lasting relationships. And as you grow, these foundations help you scale your impact without losing sight of what matters most. So, where can you make a difference today? It doesn't have to be on a global scale right away. Start by looking around you. What challenges can you help solve in your community? Remember, solving local problems isn't just the first step. It's often the most important one. I firmly believe that the future belongs to young people. When we started Alibaba, we were a group of 18, full of dreams but lacking resources, technology, or connections. What drove us was the belief that through hard work and faith in the future, we could build something meaningful. Back then, no one imagined that the internet would revolutionize the world, but we knew the future was in technology and the opportunities it could unlock for young people. I remember telling my team, if we with nothing can succeed, then 80% of people in the world can too. Today's youth have far more opportunities than we did. They have the internet, smartphones, and access to an unprecedented amount of knowledge. This generation has tools that can empower them to transform their ideas into reality. The question isn't whether they can succeed, it's whether they will seize the moment. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. I've always believed that dreams are the most valuable resource a young person can have. When I see young entrepreneurs in developing countries, I see boundless energy and potential. They remind me of our beginnings, where passion was our only capital. The youth of today need to focus on starting small, learning from failure, and daring to dream big. The beauty of being young is the freedom to take risks. When you don't have much to lose, you can afford to be bold, to experiment, and to learn through trial and error. This is why I encourage young people to embrace the challenges of entrepreneurship early in life. The skills, resilience, and mindset they build now will shape their future success. So, what's holding you back? The tools are in your hands and the opportunities are all around you. The youth of today have the power to redefine economies, industries, and societies. All it takes is the courage to take the first step and the commitment to keep moving forward. In the early days of Alibaba, we had every reason to fail. No money, no technology, no infrastructure. But what we did have was an unshakable dedication to our vision and a relentless focus on execution. Too often, people get caught up in what they lack and forget to maximize what they already have. For us, it wasn't about complaining, it was about doing. Dedication and focus turned what seemed impossible into the possible. I've always said that great results don't come from having everything you need. They come from making the best use of what you do have. When we lacked funds, we relied on creativity. When we lacked connections, we built relationships. And when we lacked technology, we improvised. These constraints forced us to focus on what mattered most, delivering value and staying committed to our mission. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This lesson was pivotal. Instead of wishing for better circumstances, we worked on improving ourselves. Every obstacle became an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. Dedication isn't just about working hard. It's about working smart, finding solutions, and refusing to give up when things get tough. Focus was another critical factor. When you don't have much, distractions can be costly. We learned to concentrate on our goals and prioritize ruthlessly. Every decision, every action, had to align with our mission. This clarity of purpose allowed us to make progress even in the face of overwhelming challenges. So, what's stopping you from starting? Lack of resources is never an excuse. Dedication and focus are tools that anyone can use to overcome limitations. The question isn't whether you have enough, it's whether you're willing to do enough with what you have. Small businesses are the backbone of the economy. They create jobs, drive innovation, and build communities. When we started Alibaba, our goal wasn't to dominate the market. It was to empower small entrepreneurs. We believed that by helping them succeed, we could create a ripple effect that would benefit entire communities. Today, I see small businesses as the driving force behind a sustainable and dynamic economy. One of the most powerful aspects of small businesses is their ability to adapt. Large corporations often struggle with bureaucracy and slow decision-making, but small businesses can pivot quickly and respond to changing demands. This agility is their greatest strength. It's also why I believe the future belongs to those who think small and act big. I remember the early days of Alibaba when we worked closely with small businesses across China. These entrepreneurs were passionate, hardworking, and determined to succeed despite the odds. They didn't have access to the same resources as big companies, but they had something more important: a deep understanding of their customers and a commitment to serving them well. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This sentiment applies to small businesses. Even with limited resources, their dreams drive them to innovate, grow, and make a difference. They don't just create products, they create opportunities, both for themselves and for others in their communities. If you're a small business owner, remember this: you are the foundation of the modern economy. Your ability to adapt, innovate, and connect with customers is what drives progress. The world needs more small businesses, not fewer. And with the right mindset, even the smallest ventures can. Every obstacle is an opportunity in disguise. When Alibaba was starting, we faced countless challenges: limited infrastructure, skeptical investors, and a lack of awareness about e-commerce. But instead of seeing these as barriers, we saw them as chances to innovate. Challenges push you to think differently and find solutions others might overlook. This mindset is what separates successful entrepreneurs from the rest. One moment I often reflect on is when we struggled with internet speeds in China. Back then, downloading a single image could take hours. Many saw this as a reason to abandon the idea of online business. But for me, it was a clear sign that we needed to adapt and create platforms that worked within these constraints. It wasn't about waiting for the environment to change. It was about changing how we worked within it. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This principle guided us through difficult times. Challenges aren't meant to discourage. They're meant to inspire action. The more you face obstacles head-on, the more innovative and resilient you become. These moments of struggle often lead to the most groundbreaking solutions. Turning barriers into opportunities requires a shift in mindset. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what can be done. Every problem holds the seed of an opportunity. When others retreat in the face of difficulty, entrepreneurs who persist will find ways to thrive. It's not about avoiding failure, it's about using it as a stepping stone to success. Where do you see barriers today? What if those are actually your greatest opportunities waiting to be discovered? The key is to look beyond the surface and see what lies beneath. Innovation doesn't come from easy paths. It comes from finding ways to navigate the tough ones. Success doesn't happen overnight. The Alibaba you see today is the result of nearly 2 decades of hard work, setbacks, and learning. Too often, people focus on short-term gains, chasing immediate results at the expense of lasting impact. But I've always believed that true success comes from having a long-term vision, a commitment to building something that stands the test of time. In the early days, it was tempting to chase quick wins, Investors wanted fast returns, and competitors were constantly changing tactics. But I knew that building a sustainable business required patience and a clear focus on the future. Think of it like planting a tree. You don't expect fruit the day you plant it. You water it, nurture it, and wait for it to grow strong enough to bear fruit for years to come. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit. Change yourself. This wisdom was critical as we navigated challenges. Instead of reacting to external pressures, we concentrated on improving our systems, refining our strategy, and staying true to our mission. This long-term approach allowed us to withstand market fluctuations and emerge stronger over time. Having a long-term vision also means being willing to make sacrifices in the present for greater rewards in the future. There were moments when we turned down lucrative opportunities because they didn't align with our core goals. It wasn't always easy, but it was necessary to stay on course. This discipline helped us build a foundation that could support sustainable growth. So what's your long-term vision? It's easy to get distracted by short-term challenges, but the most successful ventures are those built with the future in mind. A clear vision isn't just a map. It's the motivation that keeps you moving forward, even when the journey is tough. You can't do it alone. One of the greatest lessons I've learned is the power of collaboration. When we started Alibaba, we didn't have all the answers, but we knew that by working together with others, we could achieve much more. Strategic partnerships were key to our growth. They allowed us to tap into new markets, leverage resources, and create value that we couldn't have built on our own. In the early days, we focused on building relationships with small businesses. These weren't just transactions, they were collaborations. By listening to their needs and working together to solve their problems, we created a network that benefited everyone involved. This spirit of partnership became a cornerstone of Alibaba's success. My venture capitalist said, "Jack, you should give your CEO job to someone else because you don't know how to be a CEO." I didn't listen. This quote reminds me that building partnerships doesn't mean giving up control. It means finding people who complement your strengths and fill in your weaknesses. Collaboration isn't about dependence, it's about amplifying your impact. Partnerships also require trust and mutual respect. It's not enough to work together, you have to believe in each other's vision and goals. This is why I always emphasize transparency and shared values in our collaborations. When everyone is aligned, the results are greater than the sum of their parts. Who could you partner with today to take your ideas further? Collaboration isn't just a strategy, it's a necessity in today's interconnected world. The greatest achievements often come not from individual effort, but from collective action. When we started Alibaba, the internet in China was practically non-existent. People doubted that it would ever take off. I remember that downloading a single photo could take 3 hours, and many saw this as a reason to avoid the digital space. But I saw something different. A future where the internet would empower small businesses, level the playing field, and connect the world in ways we couldn't yet imagine. The internet is the great equalizer. It allows a small business in a remote village to compete with the biggest corporations in the world. This was the vision that drove us to build Alibaba, to give small entrepreneurs the tools they needed to reach global markets. The power of digital isn't just in its scale, it's in its ability to democratize opportunity. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. This dream of using technology to empower others kept us going during the toughest times. While others hesitated to embrace digital, we dove in headfirst, learning through trial and error. The result? A platform that transformed how business was done in China and beyond. Today, the digital landscape is even more powerful. With smartphones, AI, and cloud computing, the possibilities are endless. But the principle remains the same. Technology is a tool, and its true value lies in how we use it to create opportunities and solve problems. The digital revolution isn't just about technology, it's about people. So how are you leveraging the power of digital in your own journey? Whether it's reaching new customers, streamlining operations, or innovating your products, the opportunities are limitless. The question is, are you ready to embrace them? Failure has been one of my greatest teachers. When people look at Alibaba's success, they often don't see the countless rejections, mistakes, and challenges that paved the way. Before starting Alibaba, I was rejected from jobs 30 times, once even by KFC, where I was the only candidate not hired out of 24 applicants. Harvard turned me down 10 times. But each of these failures taught me something valuable and shaped who I am today. When Alibaba was in its early stages, we were rejected by nearly every investor we approached. People told us e-commerce would never work in China, that we were wasting our time. But I didn't see these rejections as roadblocks. They were stepping stones. Failure is part of the process, not the opposite of success. It's where we learn, adapt, and find better ways to move forward. If you're afraid of failure, you'll never innovate. I've often said this because it's true. Entrepreneurs who fear failure hesitate to take risks, and without risks, there's no reward. Every time we failed, we asked ourselves, what can we learn from this? Those lessons became the foundation for future success. The truth is, failure only defeats you if you let it. One of the most important things I've learned is to embrace failure as a natural part of growth. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how many times you get back up. Failure isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're trying something new. And in the end, it's the willingness to keep going that makes all the difference. So, how do you view failure? Is it something to fear or something to learn from? The next time you face rejection or a setback, remember that failure isn't the end. It's an opportunity to start again, this time with more experience and wisdom. True leadership isn't tested in times of ease. It's tested during crises. When challenges arise, people look to their leaders for guidance, hope, and a sense of direction. I've always believed that great leaders inspire not through authority, but through empathy and vision. When times are tough, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do to keep the team focused and motivated. During Alibaba's early days, we faced crises that could have broken us. There were times when funds were low, competitors were stronger, and doubts loomed over our ability to succeed. But instead of panicking, I reminded my team of our mission to empower small businesses. By keeping our eyes on the bigger picture, we found the strength to push through the toughest moments. My venture capitalist said, "Jack, you don't know how to be a CEO." I didn't listen. This self-deprecating humor reflects an important truth. Leadership isn't about knowing everything. It's about being willing to learn, adapt, and lead with humility. I often thought of myself as a teacher, not just a CEO. My job was to guide, support, and help my team reach their full potential. Leadership during crises also means making tough decisions. There were moments when we had to prioritize long-term goals over short-term gains, even when it wasn't popular. It required clarity, courage, and a deep understanding of our values. A true leader doesn't just lead through good times, they inspire belief when others are ready to give up. What kind of leader are you in challenging times? Do you inspire confidence and resilience, or do you let the pressure overwhelm you? Remember, leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, committed, and willing to lead by example no matter how tough the situation. Great businesses aren't built on abstract ideas, they're built on solving real problems. When we started Alibaba, our focus was clear: help small businesses overcome the barriers to growth. Whether it was logistics, payment systems, or access to markets, we looked for ways to address these pain points. By solving tangible problems, we created value that resonated deeply with our customers. One of the first challenges we tackled was how small businesses could compete with large corporations. Big companies had the resources and infrastructure, but small entrepreneurs were often left behind. By giving them access to e-commerce and helping them reach global markets, we leveled the playing field. This wasn't just about making money. It was about empowering people. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. This mindset guided our problem-solving approach. Instead of waiting for the environment to improve, we focused on what we could control. By adapting to challenges and finding innovative solutions, we turned problems into opportunities. Solving real problems also requires deep empathy. You can't create meaningful solutions if you don't understand the struggles of the people you're trying to help. At Alibaba, we spent time listening to small business owners, learning about their challenges, and designing solutions tailored to their needs. This customer-first approach became one of our greatest strengths. What real problems can you solve today? Look around you. Opportunities are everywhere, but they often come disguised as challenges. The key is to approach them with curiosity, creativity, and a genuine desire to make a difference. Entrepreneurship isn't just about making money, it's about creating something that lasts. From the beginning, I've believed that sustainable growth is the key to long-term success. This means thinking beyond profits and considering the impact your business has on people, communities, and the planet. True entrepreneurship is about building something meaningful that benefits everyone involved. At Alibaba, we focused on creating value for customers, employees, and society. This wasn't just a strategy, it was a philosophy. Customers first, employees second, and shareholders third. Many investors didn't like this, but it was what allowed us to grow sustainably. When you prioritize people over profits, you build trust, loyalty, and a foundation for long-term success. Sustainability also means adapting to change. The world is constantly evolving, and businesses that fail to innovate risk becoming obsolete. At Alibaba, we embrace technology not just as a tool for growth, but as a way to create positive change. From reducing costs for small businesses to increasing accessibility for underserved communities, we use technology to drive sustainable impact. Another aspect of sustainability is giving back. Entrepreneurs have a responsibility to contribute to the communities that support them. Whether through education, infrastructure, or job creation, businesses can play a vital role in improving society. This isn't just about charity, it's about creating a cycle of growth that benefits everyone. How can you make your business more sustainable? It's not just about thinking big, it's about thinking long-term. Sustainability isn't a buzzword, it's a mindset. And when you embrace it, you're not just building a business, you're building a legacy. Motivation is the most powerful force an entrepreneur can have. When I started Alibaba, I wasn't driven by money or fame, I was driven by a desire to create something meaningful. Motivation doesn't come from external rewards, it comes from within. It's that internal fire that keeps you going when things get tough and pushes you to reach beyond your limits. I remember many nights when our team faced setbacks that seemed insurmountable. But instead of giving up, I reminded myself why we started: to empower small businesses and make a difference. When you're poor, if you have a dream, you never feel poor. That dream gave us the energy to persevere, even when the odds were against us. It's this kind of motivation that can carry you through any challenge. Motivation isn't something you find, it's something you create. It comes from setting clear goals, believing in your vision, and taking small steps every day to achieve it. At Alibaba, our motivation came from seeing the impact we had on people's lives. Every time a small business succeeded because of our platform, it reminded us why we were doing what we did. That sense of purpose fueled us. But motivation alone isn't enough. It has to be sustained. This means finding ways to stay inspired, whether it's through books, mentors, or surrounding yourself with like-minded people. For me, it was the stories of other entrepreneurs and the lessons they learned that kept me motivated. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey. And staying motivated is the key to enjoying that journey. What motivates you? Whether it's a dream, a passion, or a sense of purpose, hold on to it tightly. Motivation is the fuel that drives progress, and without it, even the best plans can falter. Find your own fire and let it guide you to greatness. Education has always been close to my heart. Before founding Alibaba, I was an English teacher, and those experiences taught me the value of knowledge and its transformative power. But as the world changes, so must our approach to education. The skills that worked yesterday may not be enough for tomorrow. To succeed in today's fast-paced world, we must embrace continuous learning and adaptability. When we started Alibaba, we knew nothing about e-commerce or technology, but we learned. We experimented, failed, and tried again. This process of constant learning was what allowed us to innovate and grow. 50% of the jobs today we have will disappear. We'll create another 50 to 60% of jobs which we have never even imagined. This shift requires skills that machines can't replicate: creativity, emotional intelligence, and the ability to solve complex problems. Education isn't just about formal schooling. It's about staying curious and open-minded. Entrepreneurs need to be lifelong learners, constantly seeking new ideas, tools, and strategies. When I travel, I meet young people who inspire me with their hunger for knowledge. They remind me that the greatest asset anyone can have is a willingness to learn and adapt. Another important aspect of education is teaching skills that prepare people for the future. At Alibaba, We focused on empowering small businesses through digital literacy and training. We believed that by equipping them with the right tools and knowledge, we could unlock their potential and create lasting impact. This principle applies not just to businesses, but to individuals as well. Are you investing in your own education? In a world that's changing faster than ever, staying still is not an option. The more you learn, the more opportunities you create for yourself. Knowledge is power, and it's the key to unlocking your potential and shaping your future. Success isn't just about money or fame, it's about the impact you leave behind. When I look at Alibaba's journey, I don't see it as just a business success story. I see it as a story of empowering millions of people, creating opportunities, and making a difference. A lasting legacy is built on the lives you touch and the problems you solve, not just the profits you earn. From the beginning, our mission was clear: to help small businesses succeed. We wanted to create a platform that leveled the playing field and gave everyone a chance to compete. Customers first, employees second, shareholders third. This philosophy guided us, ensuring that our impact went beyond financial gains. It's this focus on people that creates a legacy worth remembering. A lasting legacy also requires a commitment to values. For me, it was always about honesty, transparency, and putting others first. When you build something based on these principles, it stands the test of time. Alibaba wasn't just about e-commerce. It was about empowering people to believe in themselves and their ability to create change. But leaving a legacy isn't just for companies, it's for individuals too. What do you want to be remembered for? Whether it's your kindness, your contributions, or the way you inspired others, your legacy is built every day through your actions. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional and purposeful in what you do. So what kind of legacy are you building? The true measure of success isn't what you achieve for yourself, but what you help others achieve. A lasting legacy is about creating a ripple effect that inspires future generations to dream bigger, aim higher, and make the world a better place.
It's not every day you encounter a story as inspiring as Jack Ma's. A story that resonates deeply with aspiring entrepreneurs, dreamers, and changemakers worldwide. His journey from humble beginnings to becoming the co-founder of Alibaba, one of the most successful companies in the world, is a masterclass in perseverance, vision, and turning adversity into advantage. In a recent presentation, Jack Ma captivated the audience with his signature wisdom and infectious optimism, challenging everyone to see opportunities where others see only obstacles. Jack Ma began by reflecting on how success doesn't demand